Well guys, it was a long time coming, but Nathan Drake is back in Uncharted 4 for the PlayStation 4, probably for the last time. You know, over the years, I always kind of thought of Nathan Drake as sort of a poor man's version of Lara Croft, whereas he's only been doing what she's been an expert at for 2 decades, only with a little bit more of an emphasis on character interaction and beautiful landscapes, whereas Lara Croft's Tomb Raider games were more focused on puzzle solving and intriguing level layouts. But, you know, I could go on comparing the two over and over, but that's not why we're here today. We're here to look at Nathan Drake in his new and final adventure, Uncharted 4. 5 games in, and Lord have mercy, this guy just can't get a break. It's very surreal sometimes to think just how far we've come with Nathan Drake, for this to be his final adventure and all. I remember years ago when I lived in another home seeing the commercial for the first game in the series Drake's Fortune. And now, this is his final chapter, the end-all, be-all. So, let's get started. Alright, so this here is your spoiler warning. If you have not seen the story yet, or have already seen it but don't mind knowing what's going to happen ahead of time, then continue watching. Otherwise, you've been warned. Alright, so we can only assume it's been several years after the events of all the past Uncharted games, and Nathan Drake and his now wife Elena have taken a step back and decided to live, for the most part, normal lives without all the adventures and near-death experiences. Nathan has a regular day job at a marine base of some kind where he dives and collects fallen cargo, and for the most part is pretty content, but deep down, he may have a desire for adventure again.
Did you find any exciting garbage?
Oh, it was some brilliant stuff. It was a early 21st century truck we got.
Conveniently, one day, Nathan's long-lost brother finally shows up at his front door. Obviously shocked, as Nathan for 15 years believed his brother Sam to be deceased, and the audience was likely shocked as well up until now, because we never established that Nathan had a brother at all, or any family for that matter. I don't know, I guess the question just never really came to mind. We are given flashbacks to Nathan's younger days when his brother Sam was far more active in his life, so we can understand the bond these two may have had once upon a time, and what adventures they explored years prior to the present. Growing up, Nathan and Sam, through their heritage, became obsessed with finding this lost treasure of Avery the pirate. Because of that, both would travel the world for information and make deals with very shady people if they had any leads to follow, such as getting arrested in third world countries to explore hidden ruins. Unfortunately, one deal goes wrong, which leads to a prison riot, ultimately leaving Sam mortally wounded, while Nathan reluctantly escapes, and through years would have his own adventures. It turns out that Sam was actually alive all this time and trapped within the prison that they tried to escape from, unable to make contact with Nathan until he supposedly escaped, with the help of a mafia lord who turned on him as they left the prison and threatened to kill him within 3 months if he didn't repay him for the escape. The payment he's after is Avery's treasure. Now free, but with a time limit, Sam pleads for his younger brother to help him finish what they started over a decade ago and find Avery's treasure, to not only satisfy their desire, but also to help Sam truly be free to start a new life. Nathan is a bit hesitant due to now being a family man, but after some convincing and lying to Elena about his intentions, he gets a hold of Sullivan, and all 3 of them head off to find Captain Avery's gold mine. I really gotta give the guys at Naughty Dog a lot of credit. They know how to keep a good story interesting. With their current knowledge on where to begin, the team seek out a crucifix currently on auction with a cryptic message as to a key location of Avery's trials. While beginning their attempts to steal it, when you know it, with Nathan Drake's luck, it turns out that another very wealthy fellow and all-around asshole by the name of Rafe happens to be after the crucifix and Avery's treasure too. How convenient.
Well, remember where we are. This crowd didn't get rich by playing fair.
Yeah, it's kind of a running theme in Uncharted games. There's always a rival party with a well-armed, endless supply of mercenaries conveniently after the same treasure Drake is after at the exact same time, boiling everything down to a race to the finish, which usually leaves the bad guy with a simplified payroll. After causing a ruckus, Sam manages to steal the crucifix, putting the whole building on alert. Meanwhile, during the escape, Nate happens to run into— oh shit!
I'm not in the mood for games.
This funky martial arts queen is Nadine, a hired mercenary and leader of a PMC group called Shoreline. Oh, come on, you didn't think Rafe was gonna go and find the treasure all on his own, did you? The rich snob, of course, had to have his own private militia to do all of the dirty work. Come on, this is bad guy 101 stuff.
This crowd didn't get rich by playing fair.
Be rich? Earned none of it? Hire a private army for your own selfish gain? Be an monologue? Oh man, so close, just barely missed it. One notch short of being known as a Bond villain. Better luck next time, Rafe. In typical Nathan Drake fashion, he escapes by the skin of his teeth by being plunged out a window. Nate, Sam, and Sullivan then proceed to globe hop a bit between countries and regions to explore the local tombs hidden within populated areas. But of course, with Shoreline and Rafe not far behind. On multiple occasions, both of these groups end up running into one another as each finds out crucial information on where to proceed to next. But because of their goals and intentions, these confrontations end up leading into gun feuds, which almost levels these populated areas to sheer rubble. It's amazing how law enforcement never gets involved in any of these situations, but given the gun power these guys are packing, I would probably rather let the problem solve itself too. Speaking of goals and intentions, Rafe is really only after Avery's treasure for two reasons. He's majorly resentful of Nathan Drake's fame, and he wants to be glorified for similar reasons, furthermore wanting to escape being known as the rich kid who inherited Daddy's company. In short, Rafe's motivation for everything he does boils down to one simple word, and I think we've got the best singer in the house today to tell us what that word is. Take it away, Jem! After once again narrowly escaping Rafe's infinite supply of red shirts, Nathan gets confronted by the likeliest of encounters, his wife! Yeah, I can't really say I didn't see this coming. Being an ex-journalist and an all-around badass in her own right, it was pretty plausible that she would find him. Hell, in general, she's really good at finding people. But this is where we also lead into a common trope of storytelling, which is the liar revealed. I'm not against it, but I'd be lying if I said you couldn't spot it coming a mile away. Elena storms off, pissed at Nate for the obvious, and Nate is struggling with a handful of conflicting emotions. He's upset that he lied to her, which potentially could ruin his marriage, yet distressed also because he longed for more escapades, while on the other hand, is on a clock that forces him to stay focused on his mission, or he'll lose his brother all over again. Sully goes after Elena, instead leaving Nate and Sam to globe hop once more, getting closer to the hidden treasure of Avery. Depression slowly starts to sink in on our characters, as both Nate and Sam consider that maybe after all this time they were chasing nothing more than a myth, yet fortunately it doesn't last long as they soon discover Pirate Avery's hidden city, located on an island surrounded by wild jungles and extravagant puzzles. The celebration is cut short as once again, Rafe and Shoreline also were able to find their way in cornering our heroes, leading to a surprise twist. Well, maybe not so much.
I'm the one that got Samuel out. Oh. Wow. What did he tell you? You lied to your baby brother?
It turns out that Sam lied to Nathan this whole time about his supposed debt to the Mafia Lord, who's actually been dead for several months. And turns out Sam never escaped from prison at all, but was instead bailed and hired by Rafe himself to find Avery's treasure. Despite the truth being out, Sam insists that he never wanted to work with Rafe in the first place, and escaped his employment just so he could find Nathan, therefore allowing them to find the treasure together as planned many years before. Nathan Drake naturally takes this news like a ton of bricks, and amidst a sudden scuffle, he falls off the cliff suffering a massive head wound. In an insane amount of luck, Elena and Sully manage to find Nate and bring him too. But now, Nathan is questioning whether or not he wants to be a part of this adventure anymore, since it's been nothing but hell. Eventually, it's decided that Sam is still at the end of the day his brother, and he doesn't want to lose him again. Both Nathan and Elena proceed to travel through the island, not interested in finding Avery's treasure anymore, but just rescuing Sam and getting the hell off the island. Sam, being resourceful, does manage to escape Rafe once again, alerting Nathan to his whereabouts. After proceeding to gun down near the last of Shoreline's troops, our heroes are once again reunited. Yet, all is not well, as Sam really has no desire to leave empty-handed. Being so close to the treasure, he leaves the group, forcing Nathan to chase after him alone. Meanwhile, Nadine has just about had it with Rafe and his issues, as she's lost just about all of her men on this venture, and is willing to leave with what they found so far and just call it a day. Having an ace up his sleeve, Rafe persuades some of the PMCs to keep her at gunpoint, forcing her to finish what they started and take all the treasure from Avery's ship, which they did find. At some point off screen, while Sam manages to sneak aboard and cause an explosion setting the ship ablaze, Nathan shows up right on time to save him, but then is confronted by the now desperate Rafe and even more desperate Nadine. Although Nathan makes it clear he doesn't want the treasure, Rafe at this point has no longing to keep either of them alive and, like a dumbass amidst his anger, turns his back on Nadine, who seizes the initiative. On her escape, she locks all three of them in the burning ship, bringing things to a pointy climax.
I have sacrificed everything to find Avery, and I'm not gonna let a couple of stupid thieves, a senile con man, and a washed-up journalist take that away from me!
Oh, that's it! That's it! The monologue! Oh, you did it! Yeah! Yeah! Congratulations, Rafe! You have made it to villain number 1! Give him the prize! What is it? All of the gold you can carry! Nathan helps Sam get out of the fallen debris alive, and both of them manage to escape the collapsing island with their friends, and we finally get our happily ever after. Sam and Sullivan go on their own adventures, Nathan and Elena go on home and play some Crash Bandicoot. No, I'm serious, they actually really do, it's freaking awesome. And Elena buys Nathan the permits to go on legal adventures with a camera crew, so it all kind of works out in the end. Uncharted 4 closes the door on Nathan Drake's adventures with a very satisfying conclusion that is hard to ignore. Although its story this time around isn't all that original with tropes and plots we could see coming like Capcom with DLC practices, it still remained enjoyable and fun to see play out regardless of it. In this day and age, it's damn near impossible to be original anymore, so to be able to take a known concept and still keep it fun if not fresh shows a lot of talent, and perhaps it was for the best to finally close off the series before it overstayed its welcome and ran down a course of potentially being mediocre. All of the characters in this game were still just as fun as we remember, and were able to keep their momentum up for the final adventure. When it comes to the Uncharted stories, they are pretty forgiving to newcomers who jump in. It's not entirely necessary for gamers to have played the previous Uncharted games to enjoy the story for this one, as they are all primarily standalone adventures that are contained in one epic instead of a series like, say, Metal Gear Solid, where if you missed even one game or played it out of order, you were as lost as Konami. While it's not necessary, it would be more appreciated by fans who did play the previous Uncharted games, as there are plenty of Easter eggs and references to previous adventures. Nothing that makes the overall plot confusing, but I mentioned earlier that Uncharted is known for its characters and interactions, so if you're unfamiliar, some of the jokes will go over your head. The gameplay for Uncharted has for the most part remained the same, with each title working in a small gimmick for some diversity. What started off as a simple game with a focus on exploration, wall traversing, and gunplay with minuscule puzzles has evolved and over the course of its games added stealth elements, a focus on physical combat, and now we have the new ability to grapple and swing from high places. Simple action-adventure stuff that in the long run is still just as satisfying as it's always been, and I'm glad they didn't change too much from the formula that we've established, but only adding to it. Very similar to other action-adventure games like Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider, and I'm sure you could list a handful of others. The small point here is it doesn't matter if it's been done, but whether it's still fun. And in this game, it is. I spent the majority of my game playing it on the harder difficulties, so I got a pretty tough challenge out of it. But as per usual, in Uncharted, and well, let's face it, most games today, the consequences for losing is almost non-existent, as you will respawn in the same area just before you perished, and repeat the cycle until you finally get it right. It's not something to harp on, as it's just what to expect in games these days. The environments in this game, due to its graphics, look beautifully rendered and highly detailed, which, hey, that is awesome. But one comical downside to realism is it makes it a little less clear on where you can go. There have been quite a few times in this game where I've dropped off a reasonably placed ledge and could have landed safely, but because that's not where the game wants me to go, it registers it as a death. Because of this, some areas can feel pretty linear as there's not much room for exploration. But the game does break this rule on occasion when it provides you an almost sandbox experience in other locations that resemble Metal Gear Solid 5 a hell of a whole lot. During open areas where you can drive to your next destination, you can freely explore some of the areas where there might be some hidden treasures waiting to be found in a number of ruins off the beaten path. Just like in the reboot of Tomb Raider games, they are there to be found and in the grand scheme do absolutely nothing, but if you like scavenging for achievements, then it's definitely some busy work. I stumbled upon quite a few by sheer accident and didn't give two shits when I found them because, like I said, to my knowledge, they do nothing. If someone who had enough time to find them all who would like to confirm this down in the comments or not, that would be appreciated. Other treasures you can find that are worth a while are finding hidden journals from various characters that expand upon the game's lore, which is actually worth going out of your way for if you're invested in the story like I am. Sometimes the hidden tombs or tasks you find will need to be accessed or solved by using your vehicle, latching onto it, and then using the car to break open a path or solve some puzzles. Sometimes this gets a little annoying because I'll be running around trying to analyze the puzzle I'm on, only to realize when I see an indicator or some wear on some pillars that I have to go all the way back to my vehicle just to grab its winch and then carry it all the way back down to where I was. Luckily, this doesn't happen often, but it's the little things like backtracking that can get kind of annoying after a while, especially if the car is not nearby. Puzzle solving in general isn't difficult to figure out if common sense is applied to the problem, but if it does take longer than needed, then one of the characters will notice something and tend to give you the answer straight out. This could be a blessing or a curse depending on who's playing, and would rather solve it on their own, but as mentioned, the puzzles shouldn't stump you for too long, if at all. Bad guys are another can of worms, and holy shit, depending on what mode you're playing on, they can come in bunches and the damage they deal is pretty heavy. Like in Metal Gear, you can play all stealth-like and pick off each bad guy as you come across them, but this required a lot of patience and careful traversing, as almost in reality these guys can easily notice when something is up. And if you do cause an alert, then congratulations, your game just got a hell of a lot harder because of it. Now, the entirety of the hive knows exactly where you are and will be merciless. Grenades, shotguns, snipers, pistols, rocket launchers, guys in armor, these f***ers will throw everything at you. Naturally, in any gunfight, headshots are the ideal method for trying to take down anyone fast with minimum ammo being used. Unfortunately, guys, I have no idea why, but for some reason in this game, I had such an unbelievable struggle trying to do just that. No matter how much I tried to adjust the sensitivity on the camera or reticle, I could not find an ideal method for my headshots to get lined up properly, and would not only miss 80% of the time, but would get killed trying to do it. Thankfully, the developers added a feature I'm not sure if was in the other Uncharted games, but thank God it was in this one. There is a lock-on function. Turning this on will have Nathan immediately target a nearby enemy in his direct vision upon aiming the gun, and it will follow them. You won't be able to make any headshots with this on, but honestly, I think the trade-off is worth it. With Nate targeting an enemy quickly, you can just easily pump them with enough bullets until they go down. The choice of difficulty will range how many bullets it will take for this to happen, but it does make handling hordes of foes much easier, as in my case sometimes I don't even see where they're coming from because of how detailed the environment is. Luckily, Nathan can see them and will target them for me. You would think that because of this, ammunition would become scarce, but you would actually be wrong. The way Uncharted works is that Nathan never has any signature weapons like, say, Lara Croft with pistols or Indiana Jones with a whip. Most, if not all, of Nathan Drake's weaponry comes from what he finds in the environment, which is always firearms that have been discarded, left behind in ammo caches, and from fallen foes. Every enemy in the game drops ammunition and a weapon of some kind, giving you as the player no worries about being stingy with bullets. There is enough for everyone. Even if you do run out of ammo for a specific weapon, odds are there's another one lying nearby somewhere, or you can just steal one. So as far as combat goes, you do have plenty of options. It's just a matter of how well you can use them. To make use of its new feature during your scaling buildings, Nathan Drake can now make like Spider-Man, and you can use a grappling hook to swing from areas, making some interesting jumps. It's nothing major, but playing online with it can be fun if you like to pike it in someone's skull. Yeah, sadly I can't say much about the online as I don't have any footage for it. The connection is really good, and you can customize your own weapons to take with you on a map. And from there it's pretty traditional stuff, from team deathmatch to capture the flag. If that's your kind of thing, then you won't be disappointed. After completing the game, and with enough points earned throughout, you can purchase some really cool in-game bonuses to add replay value, like a mirror mode, which reverses the entire game's level layouts, which I like to call Uncharted 4's version of the Master Quest taken from Ocarina of Time. You can purchase filters that make the game look cel-shaded, or poorly rendered in 8-bit, and many more really cool features. Other things to purchase are things like infinite ammo, which is a noob's must-have, or any gun to take with you into the game, so there's a lot of replay value to make the game interesting. I guess it kind of goes without saying that Uncharted 4 is actually a game that is well worth the price of admission if you have a PlayStation 4. A lot of what made the previous Uncharted games great in their experience is well maintained here, with just a couple of little new subtle quirks here and there to enrichen the experience even further. But all in all, it's still a really great story with a really great conclusion. I wouldn't necessarily say you have to rush out and buy this game right now, but if you were to give it a rental, you would probably have enough time to complete this story and have some fun with its other features. From there, you would be able to decide well enough if it warrants a purchase from you. I think Naughty Dog, in the end, ultimately did a fabulous job and knew exactly when to quit while they were ahead. And because of that, we were able to get one final good game out of it. Meanwhile, guys, thank you so much for watching another review from thebrotherhoodgaming.com. I've been your host, William Morris, and there's a lot of other great videos coming in the future. Meanwhile, you can check out our social media and follow us to see what updates will be coming around the neighborhood. You can check all of the other playlists that are going on, Tales of Retrospective, speedruns, all that really cool stuff. And don't forget to hit that huge, big, red subscribe button right down here. It's waiting for you to click on it. Please click on it. We need you to follow us. We love you. And see you next time.